All I wanted to do was just to let y'all know that there was somebody driving that was intoxicated. And that's all I wanted to do. I don't want to talk to no cops. I don't want to have my name on any reports or anything.
Janet Spradley, a local of Texas, witnessed an erratic driver on an evening of September in 2017. The incident took place in the general area of San Antonio. Janet Spradley made the decision to take action because she was worried about the well-being of other motorists. She didn't waste any time and immediately contacted 911 to report the erratic driving and give the authorities the pertinent information. She didn't want her name on the reports, though, which she clearly stated to the officer. What happened next? Well, let's take a look at this case. Officer Gibson appeared to misinterpret Texas Penal Code 38.02, which deals with the requirement for identification after an arrest. He mistakenly applied the code to Janet Spradley, who had not been arrested or suspected of any wrongdoing. Officer Gibson tried to justify his demand for her identification based on this misinterpretation. Janet Spradley, on the other hand, correctly understood that the code did not apply to her situation. She argued that she had not committed any offense or done anything wrong, and therefore she was not required to provide identification or any statement to Officer Gibson. Janet's assertion of her rights was crucial in safeguarding her constitutional protections.
Okay. Right here. Let me show you. I'll show you myself. Okay.
Yeah, are you familiar with Terry versus Ohio?
Okay, ma'am. Again, I'm trying to explain it to you right here, okay? So Chapter 38, disrupting governmental operations, okay? Failure to identify. A person commits an offense if he intentionally refuses to
I have not committed an offense.
Listen, I am reading it to you, okay?
Janet Spradley was contacted by Officer Gibson, who appeared to have the goal of taking a statement from her regarding the incident that she had witnessed. In spite of this, Janet made it quite apparent she did not desire to provide the officer with a statement in any capacity.
It intentionally gives a false, fictitious
name,
residence. Okay, so right here under 3, officer requests the information from a person that the peace officer has good cause to believe is a witness.
Officer Gibson did not let up in his efforts to force Janet to provide a statement, in spite of the fact that she flatly refused to do so.
But I came here looking for you because...
Because why?
Because if we're arresting somebody, ma'am, I would like to have a...
I don't want to talk to you. I don't have anything to do with anything.
Officer Gibson's mistaken idea that he had the ability to force witnesses to give police statements demonstrates a misunderstanding of his authority. Despite her evident rejection, he seemed to believe he had the authority to compel Janet Spradley to provide a statement. This misunderstanding of his job and responsibilities as a police officer raises questions about his legal knowledge and procedural etiquette.
I was just being a good citizen and letting y'all know that somebody was driving and weaving.
George Paul Zebra 2945. Can you tell me who the registered owner is?
And, this shouldn't be happening at all.
Listen.
This should not be happening. I had not committed a crime. I have not committed any offense. I have not done anything wrong.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Officer Gibson's fault was realized by Janet Spradley, who swiftly asserted her rights. She forcefully reminded him that she had already done her civic duty by reporting the incident to 911. Janet had offered critical information to the authorities by making the initial call, allowing them to find the erratic motorist. She had actively contributed to public safety and had done her civic duty.
Not if you think.
And that is witness. That's all I'm doing is I saw him weaving. That's it. See if I ever call anything in again.
Yeah, I found her. You just don't want to identify yourself.
I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't have to have anything to do with it. Call your supervisor out here, please.
Officer Gibson was reminded by Janet that her job as a witness was not to be pressured into delivering a statement against her will. She recognized that her voluntary reporting of the occurrence was adequate, and she was under no legal responsibility to provide any additional information. The fact that Officer Gibson insisted on collecting a statement from Janet Spradley, despite the fact that she made it abundantly obvious she did not wish to do so, is indicative of a disturbing lack of knowledge of the appropriate procedures and boundaries of his duty as a law enforcement officer. His actions violated Janet's rights and revealed a disrespect for the legal boundaries that govern how police engage with members of the public.
Call your supervisor out here, please. I want a supervisor out here.
Give me just a moment, please.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't have to listen to you.
He's home now.
Okay.
So unless we have a witness statement, he's not going to jail.
Mrs. Janet said that she only saw a person weaving, that's all. And why she called the police, it doesn't mean she wanted to get involved in the whole case. She had nothing to do with it. She was just being a responsible citizen. The officer did try to get in touch with the supervisor, but unfortunately the supervisor went to his house, so he couldn't call the supervisor. The officer tried to make the lady understand the situation and asked her to give a statement so that he could start with further proceedings. She asked for the supervisor to be called, and that was when the officer tried to get in touch.
Now we have pretty good reason.
Well,
to
I'm
think
sorry
that
y'all couldn't get
Mrs.
there
PPP
further sooner.
was probably driving around drunk,
Okay.
but it didn't happen in our presence. So.
Well, then I'm sorry.
So he gets away with possibly driving while intoxicated.
I'm sorry. I don't want to have anything to do with it. No, I'm not going to be a witness to anything.
Okay.
No. I don't want to have anything to do with it.
All right.
It's not my fault.
All right, Clark, go ahead.
I did what I was supposed to do as a good citizen, and that's it. It's not my fault that he's home already.
The officer made an attempt to convince the lady that she was guilty because her friend was driving around while intoxicated and she was not cooperating with the police. However, the lady was adamant she did not want to be a witness because she had already fulfilled her obligations as a decent citizen, and that was all she could contribute on her end.
I told the lady dispatch I do not want to have anything to do with the call. I don't want to talk to you. I don't have to. And you have no right to ask my ID or anything.
Ma'am, I could.
I have not committed a crime.
Further, okay?
I have not committed a crime.
Listen to me.
If you hadn't have found me, what would you didn't? If you hadn't have found me, then what? You wouldn't have a witness anyway.
And that's exactly where we are.
Okay.
You stopped your vehicle. We're pointing me over there.
Okay,
Otherwise, I have
and
no clue what you look like, what you drove. nothing.
okay, exactly. So what do you need me now for?
Nothing now. But
Okay,
we don't
thank
have
you.
anything. He's getting cut loose.
Thank you.
The woman stated she had not committed any crime and she had the right to remain silent and she would not provide her identification or anything else because she was simply being a responsible citizen of society. She then asked the officer what he would have done with the information he obtained if he hadn't found her as well. If he hadn't found her, what would he have done? The police didn't really have much to say, and because Mrs. Bradley wasn't interested in listening to what he had to say, she left the scene. Finally, Officer Gibson's interactions with Janet demonstrates both accomplishments and failings in their individual actions. Janet Spradley displayed a commendable awareness of her rights, strongly stating her decision to keep silent and telling Officer Gibson that by reporting the event to 911, she had fulfilled her obligation as a responsible citizen. Throughout the confrontation, she kept her ground and skillfully battled for her rights. Officer Gibson, on the other hand, had failed to uphold the standards required of law enforcement officers. His misunderstanding of his power, as well as his insistence on obtaining a statement from Janet Spradley, despite her concerns, demonstrated a lack of awareness of correct processes and restrictions within his function. His disdain for her rights, as well as his refusal to respect her desire to remain silent, emphasized the importance of more education and training.